What psychedelics reveal about the mind. For thousands of years, humans have used plants and fungi to alter consciousness. Shamans drank ayahuasca to commune with spirits. Ancient Greeks consumed kykeon in sacred rituals. Indigenous peoples across the world have traditions involving peyote, psilocybin mushrooms, and other visionary substances. In the modern era, scientists dismiss these experiences as mere hallucinations, chemical noise in the brain. But a revolution is underway. Research into psychedelics has resumed after decades of prohibition, and the findings are remarkable. These substances do not simply scramble the brain, they reveal something about how consciousness works. They show that ordinary perception is a construction, that the self is more fluid than it appears, that states of profound insight are neurologically accessible. Welcome back to the Conscious Observer. Today we explore what psychedelics reveal about the nature of mind. What happens when you take a psychedelic? The effects vary with substance, dose, and individual, but certain themes recur. Perception transforms, colors intensify, patterns emerge, objects breathe and shimmer, time distorts, stretching or collapsing. The boundary between self and world softens or dissolves entirely. Thoughts become fluid, associative, laden with significance. Emotions amplify, ranging from terror to ecstasy. Many people report encounters with presences, entities, or landscapes that feel more real than ordinary reality. And at higher doses, something even more profound can occur: ego dissolution, the complete loss of the sense of being a separate self, replaced by a feeling of merging with everything that exists. These experiences are not random noise, they follow patterns that reveal the structure of consciousness itself. Neuroscience has begun to explain how psychedelics produce their effects. A key discovery involves the default mode network, a set of brain regions active when we are not focused on external tasks, when we daydream, remember, or think about ourselves. The default mode network is associated with the ego, with the sense of being a separate self with a continuous narrative. Psychedelics dramatically reduce activity in this network. The ego quiets. The usual filters and constraints that shape perception loosen. Brain regions that normally do not communicate begin talking to each other. The result is the characteristic dissolution of boundaries, the sense that ordinary consciousness is a constructed, limited view, and that something vaster lies beneath. The self, it turns out, is a process that can be dialed down. Neuroscientist Robin Carhart Harris has proposed the entropic brain hypothesis. In normal waking consciousness, the brain operates in a relatively constrained state, with activity patterns that are stable and predictable. Psychedelics increase entropy, introducing more randomness, more variability, more possible states. This is not chaos, it is expanded possibility. The brain explores regions of state space it normally avoids. Rigid patterns of thought and perception become flexible. This might explain why psychedelics can break addictions, dissolve depression, and shift entrenched worldviews. They shake the snow globe of the mind, allowing new patterns to form. The therapeutic potential comes precisely from this capacity to disrupt and reset habitual modes of consciousness. Psychedelics reliably produce what researchers call mystical experiences, states characterized by a sense of unity, transcendence of time and space, profound positive mood, and noetic quality. The feeling that what you are experiencing is deeply true and important. These experiences are not rare anomalies. They occur in a significant percentage of carefully guided sessions, and they correlate with lasting benefits. People who have mystical experiences on psilocybin report increased well-being, openness, and life satisfaction months or years later. They describe the experience as among the most meaningful of their lives, comparable to the birth of a child or the death of a parent. Something happens in these states that transforms people. Whether this something is contact with deeper reality or a particularly powerful brain state remains debated. One interpretation of psychedelic experiences draws on the filter theory of consciousness, proposed by philosophers like Henri Bergson and Aldous Huxley. In this view, the brain does not produce consciousness, but rather filters and constrains it. Ordinary awareness is a narrow beam, selected from a much vaster field for the practical purposes of survival. Psychedelics, on this account, reduce the filtering, allowing more of consciousness to flood through. This would explain why the experiences feel more real, not less, why they seem to reveal rather than distort. The brain as filter is the opposite of the brain as generator. It suggests that consciousness is fundamental and that our ordinary experience is a reduction, not an expansion of what is possible. This interpretation aligns with some ideas we have explored throughout this series. One of the strangest aspects of psychedelic experiences is the encounter with entities, beings that seem autonomous, intelligent, and often eager to communicate. Users of DMT, in particular, report meeting elves, aliens, angels, or presences that defy description. These encounters feel absolutely real to those who have them, not like imagination or dream, but like genuine contact with otherness. Materialists interpret these as hallucinations, elaborate constructions of a disinhibited brain. But some researchers wonder if the brain might be accessing dimensions of reality normally hidden. We do not know what consciousness is or what it can perceive. Perhaps there are aspects of existence that only become visible when ordinary filters are removed. The entities might be projections, or they might be real in some sense we do not yet understand. The therapeutic potential of psychedelics is now being taken seriously by mainstream medicine. Clinical trials have shown remarkable results for depression, anxiety, addiction, PTSD, and end-of-life distress. A single session with psilocybin, combined with psychotherapy, can produce lasting improvement where conventional treatments have failed. The mechanism seems to involve the combination of neuroplasticity, the brain's increased flexibility under psychedelics, with psychological insight and emotional processing. Patients do not just feel better, they often report fundamental shifts in perspective, a sense that they understand their problems differently and can relate to themselves with more compassion. This is not a chemical fix, but a catalyst for transformation. The drug opens a window, the work happens in the mind. Psychedelics are not without risks. Bad trips can be terrifying, involving paranoia, panic, and a sense of losing one's mind. In vulnerable individuals, psychedelics can trigger lasting psychological problems, including psychosis. Set and setting matter enormously. The mindset of the user and the environment in which the substance is taken shape the experience profoundly. Traditional cultures surrounded psychedelic use with ritual, preparation, and guidance. Modern research does the same with careful screening, trained facilitators, and supportive environments. Used recklessly, psychedelics can harm. Used wisely, they can heal. The resurgence of psychedelic research comes with responsibility to understand these substances, to use them ethically, and to integrate their insights into a framework that serves human flourishing. Psychedelics are a lens into consciousness. They reveal that ordinary perception is a construction, that the self is more fluid than we think, that states of profound insight and unity are accessible to the human brain. They do not prove any particular metaphysics, but they challenge the assumption that waking consciousness is the only valid window on reality. For centuries, these substances were dismissed or prohibited. Now science is taking them seriously, and what we are learning confirms what contemplatives and indigenous traditions have long reported. Consciousness is vast, and we normally inhabit only a small corner of it. Whether psychedelics grant access to deeper truths or simply show us what the brain can do when unshackled, they expand our understanding of what minds are capable of. In our final episode of this season, we explore the participatory universe, the idea that observers do not just witness reality, but help create it. Until then, remember, your ordinary consciousness is not the whole story. Keep observing.